One person particularly wishes I was dead, and that's amazing, and I think it's very cute of her, and that's probably going to make her age rapidly. So I would pick it up, girl.
She said there was somebody that wishes she were dead. I'm just wondering how she had arrived at that. Did someone actually tell her, I wish you were dead? Or is she just guessing they were dead? That's really important because it's really about somebody, trying to speculate on something, or is it based on actual true information?
But she said it so casually. She didn't really say what the experience was. She just sort of threw out, this is what their intentions were. I was also noticing the way she talks. It's like she tells a story and just sort of blends all together. It's like, this is happening and this is happening and this is happening, and it just sort of goes all together. It's not really spelling out specific moments that taught her something or that stood out to her. It's all just sort of one experience. It's just everything is just happening, and it's just a part of where she's at and where she's going. I'm also seeing, again, it's too early to say anything, but I do feel like I see a little bit of that energy of her own personal authenticity a little bit, but then also she would run you over with a truck if you got in her way. So I'm what functions is that? No, I'm just kidding. But
I'm not sure if it is that vibe yet for me. I would say though, I do see a lot of not being scared of holding back. So a little bit more comfortable with that extroverted world and showing up out there, and maybe even if she does say something she doesn't mean, you can see that she might she's adjusting to it as she's going along. So
some maybe extroverted patterns. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying, I can see some people in the chat are FITET. Again, it's way too early to say. We would need to know more concrete information.
Any person I work with is always going to come up to Adam or myself and be like, oh my God, I love P and Bella. All my friends are oh my God, I love P and Bella. That's always the case.
Interviewer said, who are the people that you really like that have contributed to you? And she said, Priscilla and Bella. I've been with them forever. But also, anyone you know, you talk about, they're going to say the same thing. OMG, I love blah, blah, blah. I love these two girls. So it's not just me that's right. Everyone else says it too. So there's also an awareness of what other people think about them. She's almost very aware of what others are also valuing. So again, a lot of extroverted patterns showing up, a lot of extroverted perceiving functions, maybe even extroverted judging functions.
I had the resources to say no, which is...
The resources to say no?
I really value myself, and I value my time, and I value the things that I want in life. And I also value other people's time. When I said no to the tour, in my brain, I'm like, well, that's not what I want to do. And I don't think that's what's going to serve me long term, though it would serve me financially. But I also don't think it would be of service to the tour if I were to have accepted that knowing that I didn't want to do it. That's not, that's not right. I was like, look, yeah, I understand you want to sign me for acting. However, you need to know that this is not my main goal. And if that's not in our mutual interest, then I'm not good for you. You're not good for me.
Wow. This strong sense of what she wants, pretty upfront. Does this serve the goal, sort of where I want? Are we on the same page about what we want?
I am very glad that I trusted my instincts and the people around me, and I'm with the team that I'm with now.
This is interesting. She keeps talking about other people. I do notice she is talking a lot about people. These are the people around me. This is the people I was working with. This is sort of a lot of the relationships with people.
Spoken up for myself and been this is what I want and this is what I'm comfortable with. And it hasn't been received in the same way.
She kind of knows that there are people that don't react well to her. So it's why don't they react well to you? Is it just something that you do? Because she hasn't really said why, but obviously there's a lot of people that don't react well to her, and Tina and this guy is the unique one. So I'm trying to create a picture in my head. She's this person that says, I'm talking confidently, and all people find it hard to accept except for these people, they stood out because they just got it. And it's like, what kind of person would create that kind of, you know, reception from people? What is she doing for people to for her to get that perception about people? Is it the way you're talking to them? Is it the way you're being confident? Like in your head, in her mind, I'm confident, but is there something else that's going on that, you know, isn't part of the picture? But it's just her perspective right now that we're seeing. And I'd love to hear what the other perspectives are.
Brush it off, called me a bitch, called me self-centered, said different things to different people that have gotten out somewhere and whatever. That's fine. That's completely fine. Like, if you need to call me a bitch for standing up for myself, you go right ahead.
It's a good way to eliminate the people you shouldn't be working with anyway.
Absolutely. Oh, praise God. I also I don't know, I feel like you get burned a couple times and then you're like, all right, like I'm actually gonna try to not let that happen again in the same way. I also got a really good skill of being like, yeah, I'm cutting somebody off and I'm cutting them off and I don't need to be around them. And they don't need to be around me either. And that's fine.
Not an easy skill to acquire.
No, but I'm so good at it.
That department.
Oh, I'm so good at it. The second you're dead, you're dead.
Teach me your ways. Teach me your ways.
Just be vile.
Also add something too.
Yeah.
After the breakout, your platform.
She's pretty calm and collected with sort of talking about these topics of lost these friends. I'm okay setting these boundaries to cut people off or to manage situations and stuff.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, you lose friends. Oh, well. And then shut feelings down, move on. And then let's go to the next thing. Like, there wasn't really any sort of...
I'm not seeing a lot of feeling in general from her.
No.
She
kind of moves through it, doesn't she?
Yeah. Thinking...
It's going to be something that, because it's so loved, it's going to be highly criticized, right? So, and I totally get it. I don't think that's not warranted. I think, did a good enough
She's
job
not
in
very
somebody's
concrete.
eyes
No, I'm still waiting for examples.
Very this is what's going on. This is what will happen. This is what it's really about.
We have no evidence.
Can you name someone in this ensemble who has a similar approach to your own, where the second you met, you were immediately in sync? Then I also want the opposite, someone who challenged you to adapt and maybe even try something new and for the better.
Ooh, I think...
These questions are pick out something specific that stood out to you, some specific person, dying. Some specific moment. Please be specific, and she's just takes it in a complete...
She's like, what should I do? This is kind of what's going on.
Yeah, the interviewer seems very... SI.
Or she at least likes SI questions.
I used to cry if somebody asked me to compliment myself. And I've gotten so much better at being like, oh, this is a good thing that I did. Yeah, huge skill.
She cried when she had to learn how to compliment herself. With EJs, it's almost like I know what my value is outside the world, but sometimes I don't know if I'm right about what I think about myself. The TE and the FI, if it's higher at the top, it's going to understand more how it contributes to the outside world. I'm very confident with that. It's I know I have evidence people have told me, or I have proof because there's all of this evidence from what I've done.
I couldn't sit with myself. I couldn't say something that I was proud of, because it would be, every thought I had would be met with something else I didn't do. And also made me want to work really hard to prove to everybody that believed in me and was investing time and money, let's be clear, into me, that I was worth it.
How much is she going and having that FI and TI awareness of I know I'm right about myself. I can have some sense of confidence about what I think about myself. Or is she more like the EJ, where it's there's a lot of validation on the outside that I can get, but if I have to ask myself about what I think about myself, it's a little bit uncertain. It's a little bit of this questioning of the personal self, because it's a little bit sometimes not really confident about the validating itself. The uncertainty to validate themselves is a little bit more of something that they tend to have uncertainty in, because of that awareness of looking for the outside feedback more.
Do I feel like I'm doing the best I possibly can? Because when I write a bad song, my worst critic is myself, and it's oof.
What's the thought you think you repeat the most at those times?
That I will never write another good song again.
It goes to that extreme.
Oh my God, in 2 seconds. And that everybody around me is lying to me, and that everybody who is kind enough to work with me and put their time and energy toward things that I really want for my career, and how sweet that is that they're all making ginormous mistakes. And this is all a leap of faith that they've taken that they're going to regret.
That's an eye spiraling.
In my head, I'm just like, they're all lying to me. I'm like, there's no way. Mind you, these are people who I trust and love.
That's a really good example of NI. Paranoid. When NI is leaning too much into NI only, which is speculation and what it thinks might be going on or might happen, without the extroverted sensing concrete evidence and betting with the outside reality, it will have paranoia. It will be distrusting. It'll kind of almost like not be sure if it wants to trust the reality is.
I just keep going. I want it so bad. And I also I want to succeed for myself, but I also really want to prove to everybody who is working with me or who believes in me, I want to do well for those people. Fear of failure really motivates me. Love her.
Ooh.
I used to set such obnoxious goals for myself as a child, and it would keep changing. I would be like, if I'm not Beyonce by the time I'm 18, I have failed. If I am not on Disney Channel by the time that I am 13, I might as well just end it all.
That sounds a lot like EJ stuff and extroverted thinking.
I also would never hold someone else to the standard that I hold myself. And I'm very aware of that. It doesn't change how I feel, sadly, but I never in my life would say to somebody if they're like, my debut album debuted at 5,600, whatever. I'd be like, that is amazing. Yeah. What an incredible amount of work, blood, sweat, and tears you and so many other people around you have put into this. And this is an accomplishment that you should celebrate.
She talks a lot about that. The resources that go into making something happen, like the energy, the work, the time, the team, the people. It's a very strong sense of what resources are necessary in order to get things done, and how she is a resource that helps to make things happen and get things done.
Could have done better. I should have done more. I'm just immediately what should I have done better? It is also the life set that I have been praised for by adult figures in my life since I was very young.
That's where it comes from.
Gotten a lot of positive external feedback from this. This past year, we've been talking with a lot of EJ personality types and getting to know them. It's so interesting because on the outside, you would never know that these are things that they're sometimes thinking or feeling, because on the outside, they look so cool and successful and they're doing everything right. But then when you actually get to know them and talk with them, and you hear them, that this sort of uncertainty with self, just being really hard on themselves with these expectations, or just pushing themselves, not knowing themselves. It's really interesting to see just how that opens them up, or that you can see they have oh yeah, that one's really hard for me. It's really? You seem like you have it all figured out, and it's no, that one's really hard.
If you could have everything that you ever wanted in the palm of your hand.
What is Andrew doing?